What is up, everyone? It is Saturday, August 27th of 2022. We are back with another family education and support group. My name is Param, the weekly host of this, and looking forward to being back with you once again. If you're here returning, welcome back. If you're here for the first time, whether you're watching this on our YouTube page or our Facebook page, I want to personally welcome you, and I know the group members will also happily welcome you to this group. It's a wonderful place. And a quick introduction about myself while we wait for individuals to start trickling in. My name is Param, like I said. I have a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. I'm a licensed advanced alcohol and drug counselor. I'm also clean and sober in the recovery space myself. So June 13th of 2008 is the day that I changed my life around, if you will. I also coach high school basketball, so it's something that I do on a regular basis. And let me say hi to some of the people that are here. Mr. Jim Shand, what is up? Jim told me yesterday that he's going to be speaking at a 12-step meeting tonight, I believe, in Whittier. If any locals want to go attend, I'm telling you, Jim's awesome. Jim, if I had a little bit longer notice, I would have came tonight. It's been since the pandemic that he's spoken, but he just kills it in meetings. I've seen him speak before. It's phenomenal. Whittier, I believe it was Whittier right here in Orange County. Hossein, welcome back. Happy to be here. Cataline, always good to see you. Mom and Dad, thank you for the continued support in my life. And everybody else, like I said, if you're here for the first time, feel free to write some comments. And today, I kind of looked and saw when I did this talk last. And by the way, I'm starting my interview process again, starting next week. So I'm going to start bringing in some interviews to do the split screen so we can kind of get a little bit more engagement in regards to not just Param talking the whole time. But today we're talking about something that is near and dear to my heart, and it's very important in the recovery process. So whether you're here for yourself, or you're here for your loved one, or you're here for a combination of both, there is something that is needed in order for your life to get better. So if you want to get better, you have to listen to the lesson right here. And I'm talking about better emotionally, psychologically, physically, spiritually, holistically, all around. If you want to get better, if you want life to get better, you have to get better. And today we're going to talk about that today. And what that topic is that's near and dear to my heart is personal development. So if anybody's watching this right now, if you want to share what personal development means to you, why it's important in your life, feel free to write it in the comments and we'll have a discussion about it. But like I said, if you want your life to get better, you have to get better. And how do we get better is through personal development. It's through investing in ourselves. So if you want your quality of your recovery to get better, you got to invest in yourself. You have to invest in yourself. And I know it's cliche to say that. I understand it is, but so many people come in and because they're so distracted by something or someone else, their spouse, their husband, their wife, their children, the addiction, changes in mental health, changes in overall life, whatever it is, they're so hyper-focused on that they forget that they need to invest in self. They need to put in time, energy, effort, love, compassion into themselves. So I'm going to go through and kind of share from my perspective. The last time I did this was 2020 at some point. So if you've been watching this for a while and some of it sounds familiar, my apologies, but I will have a new take on it because as I was preparing to give this talk today, I kid you not, I'm going through I'm trying to do this personal development challenge for myself right now. It's like a 90-day challenge that I've been working on. And as I was going through all this, I was like, wow, this applies to my life today. I was like learning from my own content. It was phenomenal. So please keep that open mind that even if you've heard some of this, listen to it with an open mind, listen to it with a new set of eyes and see what you can take from it to ultimately improve the quality of your life and your recovery, right? That's why you're here, because we're all trying to recover from something. So if you look at the word development, personal development, the word development, I've kind of come up with an acronym system. So for each one of those letters, we're going to go through and talk about how they kind of relate to personal development. So the very first one we're going to talk about is the letter D. And the word that pops up there the most, the word that just when I think about personal development, the word that comes to my mind the fastest is the word decision. And to make a decision and decide. Okay. So if you are a family member, an individual, a human being that says, hey, I need to improve, I need to feel better, I need to do better, I need to live a different way of life, you have to make a decision. And a lot of people think they understand what making a decision means. And I'm telling you this, you might understand it, but I'm going to help you really understand it right now. Okay. So when you look at the word decide, it's spelled D-E-C-I-D-E. Okay. The word decide. It ends with the 4 letters of C-I-D-E. Now, I want you to explore other words in the English language that also end with C-I-D-E. We have homicide, we have suicide, we have pesticide, we have genocide. What do all of those words have in common? Well, homicide means to kill off another person. Suicide means to kill off self. Genocide means to kill off a group of people. Pesticide means to kill off bugs and insects. And when you think of the word decide, it actually means to kill off the other option. To kill off other options. Now, how many times in your life have you made a decision and did something, but as soon as you got uncomfortable, as soon as you got afraid, as soon as you got lazy, as soon as you got relaxed, all of a sudden you went back to the old way? See, my friends, you never truly made a decision. You never truly decided in that moment, because if you would have decided, you killed off the old way. For those of you who are struggling with addictions, if you make a decision and decide to stop using drugs and alcohol, that means you've killed off the option of drinking and using. But you know what most people do? As soon as their anxiety comes up, they get full of fear, they get overwhelmed, they go back to pick up the drink, they go back to the drug. They never decided. It was just a temporary moment of relief they wanted. And this is thank you, Jim, because this is the old 3 birds on a tree branch, right? So follow your decisions with action, or it's just a decision. So Jim, taking that one level further, he's saying in order to have a decision and decide, a decision by itself is just a thought process. But when you take actions after it, tangible and deliberate actions, like I like to call, after it, all of a sudden it gets wheels and it gets legs and it can move forward, right? They have this saying in 12-step programs. It says, there was like 3 birds sitting on a telephone pole, right? And one of them decided to jump off or fly off. How many birds are on the telephone pole? The answer is still 3, because just making a decision to jump doesn't really do anything. It's the tangible actions to flap your wings and fly off that actually makes someone move, right? So thank you for that. And everyone else that's coming in right now, welcome, welcome, welcome. So the first letter is D, decide. That's really important. If you're trying to better your recovery, so family members, this is for you. If you're sitting there and addiction really kicked your butt, the addiction of your loved one really did a number on you. It messed up your mind. It messed up your body. It messed up your spirit. It messed up your finances. It messed up your soul. And now your loved one's seeking recovery, or has found it, or is looking for it. And now you're just sitting back and hoping for life to get better. Please take it from me. If I have some trust equity with you, if you believe the things I say, your life doesn't get better just because you want it to get better. If that was the case, don't you think everybody would live a fulfilled life full of vitality and energy and just like passion? Yet so few people actually do so? Because just wanting life to get better doesn't mean anything. You got to do something about it. So if you want your recovery to feel better, you have to get better. Okay. And it starts all with a decision to decide. The E of development is eagerness. Eagerness. It's like a sense of urgency. It's wanting to get better. It's like almost salivating at the mouth, at the chomps, wanting to get your life better. But so many people sit back and wait. Oh, a week went by, a month went by, 6 months went by. For those of you who haven't been keeping track of the calendar, we are about to embark on the month of September, which means 9 months of the year done. 4 months left. September, October, November, December. If you haven't had a good year until this moment, and you think that magically the next 4 months are going to be good, where do you come up with that magical thinking? Where do you come up with that false sense of hope? Because if you don't do better and get better, the rest of it ain't going to get better. And I said this directly to our program participants today. I said, hey, you are delusional if you think all of a sudden the rest of the 4 months of the year are going to be great, and even more delusional if you think without any type of positive momentum, without any type of sense of ownership, eagerness to get your life better, that all of a sudden 2023 comes around and life is going to be great. Life doesn't work that way, my friends. The eagerness to get better. Like when you wake up, you say, how am I going to get better today? How am I going to get better next week, next month, next year? Constant improvement, personal development. This stuff's important, you know. Any feedback, by the way, any interaction, if you're new, watching this and you kind of just are lost, or you want to, have any questions that's not even related to what I'm talking about, feel free to post questions. And, I do a pretty good job reading them and putting them up on the board, and we can get a conversation out of it too. So feel free to write whatever you want to write. There is no right and wrong. I do not take it personal. So the V of development, it comes down to your values, right? It comes down to your values. You got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. In life, you got to stand for something or you fall for anything. And guess what? Life gives us a lot of opportunities to fall, doesn't it? Life comes sometimes and just like, boom, hits you in your gut when you're least expecting it. Life comes sometimes and you pick up the phone and you get some news that you're like, oh my God. Someone says something to you, treats you a certain way. A financial statement comes and it just rocks your world around. The doctor comes back and gives you some news that just rocks your world around. If the only thing that holds us together in those times are our values as human beings. And here's the thing, not everybody's values are the same. What might be something important to me might not be important to you. And what's something super important to you might not be important to the next person, but you got to know your values. If you're trying to get better in life, values it's like our true north. It's the compass, it's the guiding way that gets us there, right? And what is this? And our values, by the way, they leave their marks on everything. I love saying this. So you know how we all have fingerprints? And they go and they can track down somebody, this and that. Well, all the actions you take, your values are leaving fingerprints behind you. Like when someone thinks of that individual, they know what they're all about. They know who they are, what they stand about. And let's see what Kathleen, she does a good job with putting content together. She's smart. My decision was desperation, then eagerness and engagement in getting better. Yeah, it is very true that this desperation. So you've heard me say this, Kathleen. I don't know if you remember it or not, but desperation is a beautiful thing. Growing up, we have such a negative connotation to the word desperation. When we think of someone that's desperate, we think of someone that's kind of like weak or someone that is struggling and all that kind of stuff. And what have they done wrong in their life that they've gotten to that point? The gift of desperation is a beautiful thing. The gift of desperation is a beautiful thing because inside this gift of desperation, so life, Kathleen, gave you the gift of desperation and you hold it and you open it up, right? And you were eager to see what's inside. Think of it this way. You're eager to see what's inside. And you know what? Curiosity, we open up the gift of desperation. Sometimes it's painful, but you open it up. And inside that box, there is this key called the key of willingness. The key of willingness. We become willing to do things that we wouldn't have done if we didn't open up this gift of desperation. We are willing to go places, hear things, say things, do things that we would have never done because our ego is right here. We're blinded by what we're experiencing in life. Desperation is a beautiful thing, and I'm really glad that you got given that gift of desperation. I know it took a lot of pain to get there, but gosh, that was a wonderful gift life gave you. So your values are important. And how do you know your values? By the way, there's exercises we teach in the treatment world, and it's the exercises are simple. So here's what it is. You go online, go on Google if you want, the Google machine, and go search values. So values clarification. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go search it and you'll see all these like worksheets, exercises, pages that'll have a list of values. Okay. And I want you to sit down and pick maybe 10 of those values. Like, what are they? Are they honesty, integrity, family, hard work, exercise, whatever they are, reading, quiet time, community service, volunteer work? What are your values, right? Go find them, identify them, list them, and get maybe 10 of those values. Just 10 of the most important things that you know mean something to you. And again, it could be different for everybody, right? And every day when you wake up, those values are your compass. They are the way that you navigate through life. If the actions you take, the things you say, the places you go align with those values, you will start to develop. If you say honesty is a value for you and then you lie, you will not develop. You will regress back and you will go back to ways that you're wondering why I'm not getting something out of life, right? Values are different for everybody. Find yours, because you got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. All right. Let's see. Value to me is an appreciation of who truly I am and working towards getting there. Yeah. So that's called self-exploration. It's called getting to know self better. It's gaining insight, awareness of who I am with the intention of getting better. With the intention of getting better. John Donahue, good morning. You know, we had a funny thing this morning. So I did this group for the program participants. I didn't have a laptop in the morning when I was doing it. So right now I'm on a laptop. I didn't have a laptop in the morning. And I used my cell phone. And I talked, man. I talked and I talked and I talked and I talked. And I went, you know, I was just passionate. And afterwards, I get a call from John, who is our director of housing at the Ohio House. He's been with us for 7-8 years or something like that. I get a call from him. He's like, Parham, I got to tell you, that was horrible. And I'm like, oh my God. Wait, what do you mean it was horrible? He's like, every 10 seconds, 20 seconds, it sounded like you were, it was freezing. Nobody could see what you were saying. It sounded like you were drunk. The audio was going in and out. I was like, well, John, I can assure you that I was not drunk. I am just a highly caffeinated human being that's really passionate about what I do. And obviously he knew that. But so he's like, hey, I can't send you out in front of the families like this. You got to go get a computer. So John, thank you. Or else this would have been a very horrible, horrible, horrible live stream. I appreciate it. So we get to the E of development, the second E. So right now we're breaking down the word development, D-E-V-E. The E of development is something that sounds a little counterintuitive to kind of societal norms and that kind of stuff. But it says that in order for your life to get better, you have to get better. And how do you get better? You consciously do something every day. Every single day. Every day. And I understand that some people say, well, if I do something every day, doesn't that mean I can get burned out? Doesn't that mean I can get overwhelmed? If you do the same exact thing every day, that especially something you don't want to do, absolutely, that could be a recipe for disaster. But I didn't say do the same thing every day. Do something for your mind, something for your body, something for your spirit, something for your soul, something for others. How about that? Every day. Every day. Because here's the thing, and I can give you an example for my professional development, not even talking about anything related to personal. So professional. Just think about me as a therapist, as a speaker, that kind of stuff. For the past 13 years, I haven't taken a Saturday off. Okay. And if you're thinking like I'm exaggerating, I know John actually could verify this information because 8-9 years ago, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, he used to bring program participants on Saturdays to drop them off to see me. And as one would come, the other one would go. As one would come, I mean, John probably hated that, but thank you for doing that because some of those people are still sober. But I was always working Saturdays. And even before this, I was working at a place called Gold Coast Counseling, and it was a DUI school. And every Saturday I worked from 9 to 11, I would do these lectures on alcohol education and this and that. But the reason I'm telling you this is this. I work every Saturday for 13 years, right? Even if I'm on vacation, even if I'm gone, by the way, like on vacation in a hotel, I still do these kind of things. So if you look at it this way, each year there's 52 Saturdays. Okay. Now, 10 years of that is 520 Saturdays. So far following me? Now, if I were to work and somebody else was to work and do the exact same thing, they were going 5 days a week. I was going 6 days a week. By the end of 10 years, I almost have 2 full years of experience over them just by working Saturdays. 2 years of doing something when everybody else is doing the same version, all of a sudden we start to get some separation and some growth and some distance between others. Now apply that to yourself in your own life. So many people take Saturday and Sunday off and they're done. If you want to do that, feel free to. But if you're trying to make your life get better, just know this: 5 days of climbing can get negated by 2 days of downhill, because we go downhill much faster than we go up. There's this thing called gravity. So I'm not saying you have to go burn yourself out. And here's the thing, like Sundays, I take a little bit of rest. I don't rest my body too much, but I'll take a little bit of a rest in my mind and the jobs I do and the works I do, all that kind of stuff. But personal development, the recovery process means don't just go to 2 or 3 meetings that week, or don't, go to one meeting and think, hey, I'm going to be okay. Like, do it, commit to it, make a decision and decide to go all in. Decide to go all in and just see what happens. Like, when's the last time you ever went all in on something? All in on something. And thank you. So Moni right here said, and she's been, following this for a while now. Practicing what I learned every day makes me grow more. The best example for this, Moni John, is this. When a little child wants to learn how to play the piano, okay? A master pianist comes and sits next to them and says, these are the notes. These are the keys. This is blah, 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 blah. And they teach them something, and the master pianist goes home. Now the child is left with a situation. Do I sit there and practice one time? Or do I practice 1 hour each day, every day, like you said right there, so I can get better? Because what happens is the next week, the master pianist teacher comes back and says, let me see what you've done this week. If the kid practiced, they're going to know. And if they didn't, they're going to know. Recovery is the same thing. We are all trying to speak a language and play a song that we have no idea about. Like, I never hold a family member against a family member if they don't know how to play music. They don't know how to play recovery. But do you practice? And do you just practice once in a while? Or do you practice every day? Because those who practice every day, gosh, they could play some good recovery music. They could play some good recovery music. They get that language down pretty nicely, if that makes sense. The L that I have for development is our lifestyle, right? And this is a personal question again. I'm not biased. I'm not, this lifestyle is better than this lifestyle. I'm not prejudiced against different lifestyles. I do believe that everybody needs to find the lifestyle that matches with their values. So whatever your values are, align the way you live your life with those values. I promise you, you will feel more fulfilled. If your lifestyle doesn't match your values, you're always going to feel like you're lacking energy. You're always going to feel like you have to do something. You're always going to feel like resistant to the process of life. And a lot of times, family members, I want you to know this, and anybody else, if you think that you can be the person you were, do the things you did, engage in life the way you engaged prior to recovery, and expect that life after recovery turns out differently, I have to call BS. I have to say it's delusional. I have to say it'll never happen. How can you expect to do exactly what you were doing before in life and get a completely different outcome? How can you expect it? So, there's a quote that's been attributed to Albert Einstein, and I don't know if it's really Einstein or not. They say it is. And he says the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. Insanity is defined as doing the same thing in life and expecting different results. How many family members, how many people, how many just individuals go through life doing the exact same thing, and when the outcome comes, they're like, wow, how did that happen again? I mean, come on. You got to change what you're doing. You got to change your lifestyle. And what I like about lifestyle, like the way I look at lifestyle, is like learning the art of living well. That's a cool lifestyle. What's the art of living well, whatever that means for you. The O of development is openness to change. It's pretty much the whole open-mindedness. Some of the family members here have already shared in previous weeks how the biggest transformation that they have received is the fact that they're more open to feedback, suggestions, tips, tools than they were when they first got here. Because when we first get to these recovery spaces, we're like, all right, I already know everything I need to know in life. What am I going to learn from this? I run a business. I've been married for so long. I've traveled. I've done a good life. Like, what am I going to learn from this? Thinking that you're supposed to be getting something externally when the whole beauty of the recovery process is getting things internally. It's awakening from the inside out. It's those aha moments like, oh, I get it now. It's those moments of clarity, right? And to be open-minded, I think it's one of the most beautiful human characteristics. Closed-mindedness is dangerous. Closed-mindedness causes separation between us and the world. Closed-mindedness causes other people to not open up to us. Closed-mindedness causes other people to not trust us. Closed-mindedness leaves us feeling very alone in life. So if you are someone that you know are really rigid and right and closed-minded in your thoughts and beliefs, my strong suggestion to you is, first of all, ask yourself why. Why am I so afraid of opening up a little bit? Why am I so afraid of exploring things from a different perspective? Why am I so afraid of seeing something from someone else's perspective, knowing that I don't have to accept that or agree with it, but I'm just open to exploring? Why? It all goes down to fear, ego, stubbornness, selfishness, righteousness, all of those things that leave us really, really, really psychologically, emotionally, physically, spiritually in pain. So open to change is a beautiful, beautiful concept, and yeah, here's Hossein just said something here, which I appreciate. Being a rigid-minded will break and destroy my values. Yeah, I mean, who in life says one of my values is rigidness? One of my values is stubbornness. It isn't. So it means it actually goes against it. It's a contrary value. It's an opposite. So if you're living in a contrary value, what's going to happen? Your values are going to break, right? It like pulls the rug underneath. It breaks the foundation of them. Desperation forced me to be open-minded. This is my mom saying it here. And, I'll give you a little history on how her desperation came through. In the beginning, when I was struggling with, let's just call it with alcohol or, drugs and alcohol, it was kind of like, okay, let's get in fix-it mode, right? Like I had a good upbringing. I had a good life. And they figured, let's just fix it. He's young. He's got some anxiety. He's hard on himself. Let's fix this. So, hey, let's go over here and let's go to this doctor. Go over here. Go to this psychiatrist. Go over here and go to this holistic person. Remember, Mom, the holistic guy next to Sprouts or Henry's? He's like, yeah, kid, I'll fix you. The holistic stuff. And the more they tried to fix and control something, the more it became out of control, to the point that it starts to get really desperate, to the point that it's, hey, Mom, I need you to come pick me up at 2:00 in the morning at TGI Fridays because I can't drive again. And she's like, okay, I'm coming. And eventually those days get old. She comes home from work and I'm just belligerent inside the living room. And she's like, what the hell's going on here? She goes and all of a sudden goes to pay something in a grocery store and she knows there was like $40, $60 in her purse and it's not there. And it's just, it does something to the psyche. It's like, where did this $40 go? I know this client, this customer just gave me $40 today. Why is it not in my purse? My son couldn't have taken it. And eventually, as life and addiction starts to chop away at the spirit of a mom or a dad or a spouse, they start to get more desperate because they realize that whatever the hell they're doing is not working. Whatever I've done is not working. And then that cracks the mind up because it says, okay, what I have is not enough. I need to open it up, crack it open, and let something or someone else feed it something differently because mine doesn't work. And this is thank you, Jim, because I believe that there is a beautiful transition here, and kind of Jim's talking about it right there in his talk. He said, I started off closed-minded and angry. So let's just think of it this way. When you come into the rooms of recovery, right? Obviously you're closed-minded because you're guarding and protecting whatever it is that you believe is your version of reality. But the angry part, I mean, how many times have people lied to themselves and others? How many times have people, done someone wrong, taken something they didn't have, resentful? How about people harmed you? People, trauma, anger, abandonment. I mean, we come in angry. And through the process of open-mindedness, acceptance, honesty, willingness, all that kind of stuff that we teach and preach here every week, the mind starts to open up. And I think another thing too that's not talked about enough is when you surround yourself with people that are also open-minded, it starts to challenge your interactions, because I'm like, hey, how are they so cool about talking about so many different things? Like, why are they not right about their perspective? They're like, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. And they can have their own beliefs. So I think surrounding yourself with open-minded people, if you're a closed-minded person, really, really helps, because you start to experience a world that you might not be exposed to. Let's see what Eileen says. Thank you for coming back, Eileen. I experience that when I ignore my inner voice that knows what is for my highest good, it creates angst, 100%. Because I am not matching my values with my lifestyle. That is perfect. So there's something called congruence and incongruence. Congruence means when my inner values and my psyche and my mind and my soul and my spirit are aligned with my actions. When a human being is congruent with their values and their actions, it's the ultimate form of feeling full, complete, whole. When our actions and our lifestyle are not against our things, so she creates angst, it's called incongruence. And that's when actually they say a lot of mental health challenges happen, because if someone says, my value is to take care of my health and mind and body, but I'm depressed, I'm laying in bed and I'm not moving, all of a sudden, depression starts to breed. Depression starts to breed. So thank you for your interaction there. Whoever wants, feel free to pop, say whatever you want. The P is planning. So I talk about this all the time. If you are trying to get better, you got to start planning, right? Because here's the thing. Personal development requires you to do things that you haven't been doing in the past, okay? Or continue doing the things you've been doing if you've been doing well. But if you're trying to get better, you got to do things you weren't doing. So if you have to do things you weren't doing, that tells me that they are not automatically a part of your day-to-day, week-to-week schedule. So as an adult that can think and process, what do you have to do? You must plan them into your days. You must plan them into your weeks. You must plan them into your months. You must say, how am I going from here to here? For example, some of us are familiar with marathons. A marathon is one of the most, active physical feats of human development. It's about 26 miles of running. Now you can walk it, you could jog it, you could run it. But let's just say you want it, for whatever reason, you want to run 26 miles in a marathon. And the marathon is 6 months away. Okay. In order for the individual who's never ran to be able to run 26 miles, it just doesn't happen, right? It doesn't. Trust me, it just doesn't happen. So what does that person have to do? Well, you can go online or get a coach or do something for free or go on YouTube. And all of a sudden they have this marathon training plan. And in the marathon training plan, it'll say on this day or this day or this day, these are the amount of miles you run. This is the amount of miles you run. This is what you walk. This is your rest day. This is what you run. This is how it adds up. This is the total miles you need at the end of this week. And that training plan, to the best of its ability, gets you prepared for that run, right? You plan for success. Recovery is the same way, my friends. You don't just go from being highly stressed out. You don't go from being highly in a shocked state of fight or flight to feeling happy, joyous, and free just because you want to. Nobody's ever ran 26 miles without running, and nobody that's been anxious, depressed, sad, fearful ever goes to joyous, happy, and free like that. Let's see what Martha says here. Martha, what's up? Michigan in the house. Planning to ignore the next demand for help that may assist my loved one in his own growth. I'm in training for that, 100%. And ignore, you can use the word ignore if you want, or you could use the word a conscious choice, right? Because ignoring something could also be a conscious choice, a deliberate action. Because ignoring and avoiding and kind of like sweeping it under the rug, that kind of stuff has a little negative connotation. And I know you understand language and vocabulary. It's like it's a conscious choice to pass up on a demand or a request because I want to assist my loved one in moving forward. And also I want to protect myself, right? It's kind of, I guess the difference is, if someone's calling, like a telemarketer's calling all the time, you can keep ignoring the call, right? And they're going to keep calling. These people trying to sell us vehicle auto warranties. I was joking about this at work the other day. They'll call all the time. But as soon as you pick up the phone and says, hey, do not call this number again, they put you on a list, they stop calling you. So one's a deliberate action and one is kind of ignoring it. So hopefully that made sense. You said good point, so hopefully it did. Planning, bring discipline in my life and make focus my goal. So yes, thank you, because discipline is not automatic. Discipline is an action and it's a muscle. If you are trying to be disciplined in your life, man, you got to strengthen that muscle. The M that I have here for development is your mindset. And I believe that our mindset, falls into one or two categories. Either we come from a mindset of abundance or we come from a mindset of scarcity. Scarcity means I'm never going to have enough. I don't have what it takes. It's less. It's empty. It's void. Abundance means I have all the resources I need. I have all the support I need. I have what sets me up to be able to succeed. You can pick which lens you want to view life as. And if you know that you constantly come from a place of scarcity, it's not like, hey, you're a bad person. Why do you do that? The question is this: sit down with a journal and say, why? Why do I always look at things? Why does my mindset go straight to the negative? And I promise you this, you have to rewind the tape, maybe with a therapist one day, and go back to when and where it all started. Because kids, when they're born, they don't have a mindset of scarcity. They're just happy as heck. But something happened in your personal life development long before your loved one had an addiction problem. Long before that, That's what sometimes family members don't understand. I understand this because I'm a clinician, and one of the specialties that I have is human development across the lifespan. So it means that we're constantly across our lifespan, from the time we're born to the time we die, we're constantly developing. Like our development doesn't just start at a time that our kid gets addiction, right? So a lot of you family members that have certain things that you experience right now, I promise you this, I'm willing to bet fake money on it, that long before your loved one's addiction, you experience significant emotions and feelings that you continuously still experience until you do the work. Mindset's everything. The best quote I got, do you use your mind or does your mind use you? I wake up in the morning, like I was sharing with you guys, yesterday's workout was 4:30 was yesterday's workout, 4:30 a.m. But I got up and, my first thought, what's my mindset in the morning? 4:30 in the morning. I don't want to get out of bed, tired. My feet hurt from all the, exercise. But then I put these little plugs in my ear and I go on my Apple Music and I search motivational speeches, right? And some girls just yelling in my ear, like, today's going to be the day you're going to get up and crush your goals. Today's going to be the day you will not quit. You will keep moving through adversity. You will, Jim said it, don't let obstacles stop your plans. So imagine like Jim yelling that in my ear. And what all that does is conditioning to create discipline that makes us stronger. These things work. Why do you think people get personal trainers? It's like you could do the workout the personal trainer's giving you, but all of a sudden the person's there and you're working out extra hard. It's because the mindset, it just changes with accountability, with these external positive messages that we can get. The third E is expectations. And, I've talked about this in the recovery space a bunch of times with your loved one, but focus on yourself. If you are trying to develop personal development in the recovery process, and you're a newcomer or you're just fresh in this process, please don't think that you are expected to know everything and do everything perfectly from the beginning. Remember the example we used earlier about the piano student with the master pianist? The master pianist knows that they're dealing with someone that's never played a piano before. So when that pianist is teaching whatever they're teaching, they know when they come back the next week, chances are that student's still going to, for lack of a better term, is going to suck at playing the piano. They already know that. However, the student starts to put certain expectations on themselves that when the pianist comes back, I'm supposed to know how to play like them, or I'm supposed to be much better than I am. Says who? These expectations we have will kill your development. Oh, man, we said it at the same time, Jim. I didn't even see that. Expectations will kill your development. You got to have the mind of a beginner and be okay with being a beginner. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I'll give you an example of myself. Years ago, so yoga, Pilates, all that kind of stuff I love. But let's say 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I'd never done a yoga class before. And I was like, I'm going to go do some yoga. But I was like, I don't want to look bad in there. I don't want to look like I don't know how to do yoga. And here's the thing. I'd never done yoga in my life. My mind was telling me I can't go in a classroom and look like I don't know how to do yoga. So what did I do? What every crazy human being does. I practiced yoga by myself over and over and over again at home until I went to class, still not knowing what the hell I'm doing in there, thinking that now that I know a little bit of yoga, I won't look as stupid in there. And guess what? Nobody cared. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's our own mind. It's this mind that makes us think we're supposed to know things when we're not supposed to know them. It's okay to have the mind of a beginner and have the physical experience of a beginner. Like family members, if you're trying to start this recovery process, it's okay to accept hey, my name is so-and-so and I have no idea what I'm doing. It's okay. If you're successful in your personal life, in your business life, in that world, raise your hand and say, my name is so-and-so and I'm exceptional at what I do. I'm exceptional at being, an executive. I'm exceptional as an employee. I'm exceptional as a business owner. I'm exceptional as an organizer, whatever it is that you do, right? But you can also raise your hand and say, despite of being exceptional at this, I am horrible at this recovery stuff. How about that? That's a nice place to be. The N of development is something I've taught a lot of times, and this one is specifically for human beings that tend to take on more on their shoulders than they need to. And it's just learning how to say no. If you're trying to improve in life and develop in life, you got to learn how to say no. You got to learn how to say no. And it's okay to. And you might say, well, if I say no to my kid or I say no to my loved one or I say no to my friends because I'm consciously working on myself, what are they going to think about me? What are they going to say about me? What are they going to do? Well, check this out. It's none of your business. It's on them. What people think of you is none of your business. It just isn't, right? It's for them to process. My parents, my mom calls me sometimes and she says, hey, can you do this or this for so-and-so? And I'm like, no, I can't. And she's like, okay, well, I just wanted to ask. I'm like, all right, cool. Now she might get off the phone and go off, talk to my dad and be like, I thought he was going to do it. That's kind of selfish of him. Whatever they say, I don't care. I said no because I had to say no. And sometimes they'll call and I'll say yes because I can. But the thing is, there's nothing wrong with saying no to people. Somewhere along the line, we're taught that if you say no to requests or if you say no to people, that equals you're a bad person. That's the furthest thing from the truth. Sometimes you say no to others so you can say yes to yourself. I know that's a foreign concept for some family members to say no to someone they love because they're saying yes to themselves because they have no idea who they are anymore. But practice saying no to other people. It's brilliant. It's beautiful. And you learn how to eventually over time be able to strategically pick and choose when and where you can engage and help other human beings out. And the last one that I have is the T of development is the word together. And there's a African proverb, I believe, that says, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. But if you want to go far, go with others. You know, the same way this group for the past 2.5 years has been cohesive and people are here. And it's just a wonderful little small community of like-minded people that are doing something together. You know, it makes it, look at, man, we're going far. You're going far in this recovery stuff. But if you would have done this all by yourself, Googling on, you know, late night Googles on the internet, trying to figure out what you're going to do to figure out this recovery thing and try to go as fast as you can to get as much information as you can, you're going to burn out, you know, and you're not going to get it. So I'm grateful that I get to go on this journey together with you each and every single week. I will have an interview next week. So it'll be somebody that I'm going to bring on and talk. And this was awesome, you know, so like I said, I'm going through something right now in a personal challenge, and this talk was something I needed to hear. So if it's something I needed to hear, I know for a fact that many other people needed to hear because I live and breathe this stuff. So that's the beauty of life. You know, that's the beauty of life. Feel free to let me know what you got out of this talk in the comments, you know, share a takeaway or two. And like always, it was just wonderful. And I'm grateful to be a part of it and love and appreciate all of you. Same time, same place next week. Have a wonderful day. Bye, everyone.